Ever since I was a little girl, I would have to say, you know when people ask you what your passion in life is, I've never been able to narrow it down to one thing. I mean, when I'm with my family, my passion is my family. And when I'm, it depends on what I'm doing. I just like to live life with passion. But if I had to put it all in one big thing, it would be to experience heaven on earth every day. Like from a little girl, that was really important to me, to feel heaven when I was on earth. And I wanted to feel it in my relationships, I wanted to feel it in my home, in my surroundings, just everything that I did. And when I was 12 years old, just to kind of give you an idea, my brother and I used to fight. Anybody ever do that with their siblings? Like, it was bad. Like, one day we got in a really bad fist fight, and I chased him. My mom and dad weren't home, of course. So I chased him out the door, and he ran through a glass door and broke the door. And luckily he didn't get hurt, but it scared me. And I spent a lot of time in my room thinking about my relationship with my brother. And I knew that I loved him. He frustrated me to no end, but I knew that I loved him. And I didn't want to be angry and fist fight and argue with him anymore. So I made a commitment that I would never fight with him again. Now that's a pretty big commitment for a 12-year-old to make, right? I think about that now and I'm like, wow. How many 12-year-olds would make a commitment to never fight with their sibling again? But I knew it wouldn't work unless he made the commitment too. And so I went and talked to him and I told him what I wanted to do. And he was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then he tested me, like brothers do. And I don't know how I did this, to be honest, but I was like so committed to not fighting with him that I learned very quickly how to tune in to my higher power and ask, how do I handle this situation? And I got answers. And so at a very young age, I learned how to communicate with people in a way that we didn't fight. And I think about that one commitment that I made clear back then and how it has affected my whole life as I've been growing up. And I honestly can't say that it was my idea. It was one of those things like Andrew talked about today. I knew that it was supposed to be that way and that it would happen. And I just had to be in the right place at the right time, and it worked. I went on with life. I really had a great life. I had a great childhood. I had a great family. I had great parents. I married the love of my life when I was 18 years old. Would never change that for a million reasons. Even though I was really young, I'd been to a year of college. Married the best man in the world. We had 4 beautiful children, and everything was great. And then one day I put my brand new 3-month-old baby down for a nap, and when I went to check on her, she was gone. And it turned my life upside down. There were times, I remember, Judy and Corey were with me through those hard times. But I remember sitting in my rocking chair holding her blanket and just rocking, because it smelled like her, and I missed her, and I wanted to hold her. And again, I learned how to dig deep inside myself and find joy and happiness again. But it was like a few years after that, I started feeling really crappy. I felt like I had the flu all the time. And I eventually was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And so over the next 12, 15 years, I tried everything you can think of to get through the pain of fibromyalgia. I went to Mexico a couple of times. I saw all kinds of alternative health practitioners. I did chiropractor and allergy treatments, and everything kind of helped me, but nothing ever really took care of it. I eventually ended up on 8 prescription medications. And so if you're on prescription medications, you know what that's like. It kind of helped with the pain, but I felt awful being on that many medications. And I got depressed again, just because I didn't feel good, ever. I raised my family feeling like that. I was thinking about that not that long ago, and most of my kids were raised with a depressed mom. Just yesterday, my oldest daughter got on her, she's really open about everything. She got on her Facebook page and she shared this whole story about, in this recession, how the therapist said, something's wrong with your heart, what is it? And she just goes to the first thing and she said, it's hurt, I feel hurt. And it ended up being that she felt hurt as a child because she saw her mom doing everything that she possibly could to serve everybody and help people. And then she had to pick up the pieces for me and be the mom and didn't get the attention that she needed as a child. Luckily, I have a really good relationship with her. But that hurt me to know that 20 years down the road, it finally came up for her in her life and she realized what was going on. So grateful for energy healing work and the opportunity that it gave her to clear that out of her life. The next day she got on Facebook and shared this beautiful post about being grateful and how wonderful her life was. So anyway, in the process of trying to figure out what to do for myself to feel better from fibromyalgia, someone suggested that I go and get my feet zoned, and I was like, what's that? I had no clue what that was, but I was, I tried everything else, why not? So I made an appointment to go get my feet zoned, and that began the process of me healing. In that zone, my practitioner told me that she could tell I had some candida problems with my gut and that I should go on a diet and clear that up. It was the week before Thanksgiving. Yeah, but I was determined. So I left her house on the diet. I spent Thanksgiving eating meat and vegetables. And no one even noticed that that's what all I had on my plate was salad and turkey, And over the next 6 weeks, I continued to get my feet zoned regularly, stayed on the diet. In 6 weeks, I felt like I was a new person, like I had my life back again, and it was incredible to me. And I found that as long as I kept getting regular foot zone treatments, that I watched my diet and I managed the stress in my life, I don't suffer from the symptoms of fibromyalgia. If things get out of balance, it shows up again. It's my signal to get back in balance, go get my feet zoned, watch my diet, stress. That's the big one. Learning to manage stress, when I have a lot of stuff going on in my life. But in this process of being fit zoned for a year, I knew that I was supposed to learn it. I didn't feel that way in the beginning. I thought, why would somebody want to touch people's feet? Why would you want that as an occupation? But somebody higher than me let me know that this is what he wanted me to do. And because it came from him, I am so willing to serve him and serve the higher power. I trust it completely. So I learned to love it really fast. And while I was learning foot zoning, I knew that I was supposed to teach it. Just one of those little voices that I knew I was supposed to teach it. And so I actually thought I would be teaching for the program that I learned from. And when it was time for me to start teaching, it didn't feel right. So I went searching for another program and took foot zoning again. And that wasn't right. And then it became very clear to me that in order for me to get the program that I really wanted to give my students, that I would have to create it myself. And so I started that process of creating my own program. And it took me 1.5 years just to draw the zone. And I'll show it to you later. You'll see when you see the picture. I had to learn how to do it on a computer. And so this is the little determined side of me that when I make up my mind I'm supposed to do something, I just do it, So I created my own zoning program and was ready to start teaching classes. And I always heard in foot zoning that, to really be legal, you have to have a massage therapy license. And that's to touch people, you have to have a massage therapy license. But I was told all of these different ways that you could get around it. But I was like, I don't want to just get around it. I want to know if it really is legal. So I kept calling the Department of Professional Licensing and spending hours on the phone with them. And finally, one lady said, I really understand what you're saying and it's making sense to me. It just sounds like the law needs to be changed and laws can be changed. And so I went through the process of starting to call senators. In the process, I found other people who wanted the same thing. We got together, we called every senator in the state. I did. I called every senator in the state, talked to them, and we ended up passing a bill in Congress that got foot zoning recognized, exempt from the massage therapy law. But in that process, at least in Utah, but in that process, we also had to belong to an organization that was recognized by the Department of Professional Licensing, and there wasn't one. So we had to create one. And so I spent the next year and a half working with people to do that. And it was a really time-consuming, wonderful, amazing process. So really, my goal, passion to have heaven on earth, now the way that I do that is through foot zoning, helping other people create their heaven on earth through foot zoning. So today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what foot zoning is, the benefits of foot zoning, and I'm also going to teach you some techniques that will benefit you and your families, that you can take home and use on your families and yourself to benefit you. In foot zoning, we increase spiritual awareness. It helps us to make better decisions. I'll teach some of these things, how to release trapped emotions and combat sore throats. Those 4 things I promise to teach you. I wish I could teach you everything I know, but that's a very long process. So, what is foot zoning? This is part of the maps that took me a year and a half to create. Lots and lots of study and work to make this happen. Nobody up to this point had put the map on the feet all at once together to see how it all worked. So this is the right foot, the top of the foot and the bottom of the foot. And there's also the inside of the foot and the outside of the foot. There are signals everywhere in the foot, about 4 inches or about 4 fingers width above the ankle is what we get in foot zoning, all of these signals. And the way foot zoning works is there is a map in the feet of our entire body. Every system in our body, we can trigger it in the feet. And over time, we have learned how to trigger these signals in the feet in a certain way, in a certain order, to get the best benefit. And with foot zoning, in every treatment, we trigger every signal so that you're not missing anything ever. It's a very holistic approach to health because we're whole beings, right? If you just work on the liver, but there's a problem going on with the thyroid and the circulatory system at the same time, you're not getting it all. So with foot zoning, you trigger everything. And it also, everything in our physical body connects to our spiritual body, our emotional body, and our mental body. So in the process, we can balance all of those things. What happens in a foot zone is it helps to trigger all these signals in our feet and in our bodies so that they communicate effectively with each other. Like you heard this several times today, that our bodies really do know how to heal. When you get cut, if you're healthy, you get better, right? When you get sick, you get better. Our bodies were programmed to heal. It's when things are out of balance or not communicating that we don't. And that's why foot zoning works so well, because it helps that communication process, helps to unblock things. And I like to liken it to a flashlight. In order for the light to turn on in a flashlight, the connections have to be good, right? The battery has to be charged. And with a foot zone treatment, that's basically what you're doing, is you're connecting the signals, making sure that they're cleaned up, and then you're charging them so that you can get light back in your body, so that it can heal. It can do what it was programmed to do from the very beginning. Inside each of us, we have this divine, perfect blueprint. And that's what teaches our body to heal. The easiest way for me to explain this is like if someone was going to build a big building or a house or whatever, they don't just randomly go out and build it. They have plans of what it's going to be, what it's going to look like, all of the details about this place. And we carry that blueprint inside of us, of our perfection inside of us. And I like to think about that as our divine self. And I totally respect everyone's beliefs, wherever you're at. Even in the same religion, people have different perspectives. But for me to be truly authentic to myself, I believe in God. And I believe that I am His child. And that His divinity is inside of me. And that is perfect. And my divinity is unique and different from everybody else's, just like yours is. What I will become will be different than you. But what all of that perfection is inside of us. And when we connect to that perfection, no matter how we do it, whether it's through foot zoning or essential oils or, can't remember what, Qigong or Shiatsu, it's when we connect to that that we see really great results. And that's what foot zoning does, is connect us to that. So we talked a little bit about, there are 4 components to really being healthy. There's the spiritual side, the mental side, the emotional side, and the physical side. Lots of times we just think as our physical body is healthy. But I think most of you would agree that if you're not emotionally healthy or mentally healthy or spiritually healthy, you don't feel good either, right? It's when all of those things are in balance and they're working together that we really feel healthy. Did you know that we have 3 brains? I'm having a hard time hanging on to this.
Do you want me to turn the light off so we
Would that
can
help
see better?
Yeah. So we have 3 brains. We have the brain that's in our head. And did you know that your heart was a brain, that you can think with your heart? How many times have you heard, what's your heart telling you? Or in ancient documents it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. There are actually more nerves going from your heart to your brain than from your brain to your heart. Did you know that? Some of you do. We also have a gut brain. There's a ton of nerves right here in the solar plexus region. And how often have you heard the expression, what's your gut telling you? What's your gut feeling? I hear that on TV all the time. If you watch like shows like American Idol, whatever, they say, I'm just going with my gut. They don't say I'm going with my heart or going with my head. They say I'm going with my gut, and they choose somebody, right? There's a lot of information in our gut that we can rely on and count on. What I want to do is teach you just a few things that you can do with the feet to open up that communication. And this is just, you can take a picture of this if you would like. What I'm doing is you do this 1 foot at a time. In a foot zone, I'll stop and do this wherever I'm at in the zone. But you'll start with the right foot and then do the left foot. But you're just holding points on the front of the foot and then on the back of the foot at the same time. So these points right here that I'm holding with my thumb, those open up the heart to receive inspiration. The point in the back where my fingers are, that's the solar plexus area. So it opens up your gut. And together, that communication opens the doors for inspiration. How many of you can feel energy? Oh, good. This is great. So just go like this. What did that feel like? Anybody want to share? You felt something. Would you like to share what you felt?
Aha!
Aha! Like just this lightness. Feel like your heart opening up.
Thank you.
You may not all feel that, but if you're used to energy work, you will. And that's basically what this hold does. It just opens up your heart and your gut to receive inspiration. And there are times in our life when we would really, really like that, and that could be super helpful. Do any of you ever feel like this? More often than you would like? I love this picture. It's so true to life. So we also have stuff going on in our heads. Stuff like, I'm stressed, life is too hard, I'm not good enough, I'm invisible. Some of the stuff that's going on in our heads has been programmed there for so long that we don't even recognize it. It's just this innate part of who we are, and you have to really pay attention to the thoughts in your head that are holding you back and make an effort to release them and move on. In fact, I bet we could spend an hour just writing on a board all the different thoughts that are going on in your head that are not serving you. They're limiting beliefs. Can you see how, does any of that serve you? Not in any way, shape, or form, right? We could spend another hour writing all of the thoughts that we want in our heads. I'm successful, I'm beautiful, I'm healthy. I feel great. I have a gift. I have things to offer the world. Those are kinds of things that we need to have going on. I don't know everything, but I can learn it, right? I will never know everything, and that's okay. There's so many good things that we can be putting in our brains and in our thoughts. And honestly, when I'm foot zoning people, this lately has been coming up a lot the more I think about it. Our thoughts create our lives. And I love foot zoning because with all the little puzzle pieces that you put together in a foot zone and the different things that you're feeling, you can figure out lots of times what the thoughts are that need to change in order for lives to change. Does that make sense? So we have a right and left side of our brain. And the left side of our brain works in logic. The right side of our brain works in creativity. And 80% of people work in the logical side of their brains most of the time. Even if you're a creative person, lots of times you think you're creative, but you're really logical. There are a few people that really work from the creative side of their brains. And the fact of the matter is, if we worked from both sides of our brains 100% of the time, we would be in a much better place to make good decisions and feel good about ourselves and all kinds of things. So one thing foot zoning does is we can balance both sides of the brain. So I have a little granddaughter. Her name's Kinsey. And from the time she was born, it was very obvious that she was a creative thinker. And this is what a creative thinker looks like when they're 3 or 4. She was like everything you could think of. She would just think of something, oh, that would be fun, and she would do it. And it was driving her mom crazy. She was like getting glue on the couch and the carpet and getting into, making messes. And she was always creating something or getting kids to do stuff with her and get them in trouble. But she didn't really mean to hurt anybody or to do anything wrong. And that was the hard thing. Like, it was so common, Steve will agree with this, it was so common to go to their home and then they say, Kinsey, think through it. Kinsey, what are you thinking? Kinsey, think before you do that, And we were there one day and this was just going on and on and on, and Mom was like, she's gonna drive me crazy, I don't know what to do with her. And I had just been learning foot zoning, and I was like, well, let's connect her right and left brain and see what happens. And so I took her in the other room and I just grabbed her little toes. I'll show you how to do this. So your big toes are your brain. So I grabbed her big toes. She was sitting in the chair, and I just told them to connect, and they went. That fast. I didn't do anything. It was like the magnets pulled it together. I've never had this happen before except with her. And she went, do it again. And so we kind of played for a minute. She was having a good time. But the cool thing that happened was 3 days later, Mom called me. And she was like, I don't know what you did to Kinsey, but she's a different person. We can deal with her in our family now. She's like thinking. And it didn't last forever. So Mom learned foot zoning. And we have used this technique on her several times. And it's been a blessing to her. It's been a blessing to her family. Just that one little thing. Do any of you have kids in your life like that? Oh, good. This is for you. If you don't, you probably will at some point. So what you do is you want their feet to be together enough that it's natural for them to go together. But you just grab their little toes or big toes, whoever you're working on, and you just send the intent to connect. You can say it out loud, you can say it in your mind, but you're just going to be firm. It's like dialing a number. You call in and send the signal, connect, and then you let go. You get out of the way, because if you get out of the way, it will work. It's like dialing a phone. If you try to follow it all the way down the line and make sure that it gets there, it's going to take forever. And that's not the way it works. The intent is there. You send the signal, they get it, and it comes together. If it doesn't come together, I always say, that's okay, you don't have to. And then most of the time it will come together. It's like you have to give people their agency. And if it still doesn't come together, then I'm just like, okay, we'll try it again another time. So it's not about you doing it. It's about their energy system getting the message and agreeing to let it happen. And most people want that to happen. There may be times in someone's life when it's not going to work. It'll make them so uncomfortable because they're so not used to it, you know. So honor the agency too. Also emotional stuff. We've talked a lot about emotions today. And when we can release negative emotions, that really puts us in a place to feel peace and happiness, right? All of us have negative emotions. It's part of this life, I believe, to understand emotions. And lots of times if we can just validate them, that's the first step that we need to release them. And foot zoning helps us to realize what some of those are and validate them. Especially with kids, they feel stuff and they don't know what it is. Sometimes they do know what's going on, sometimes they don't. As adults, have you ever had a child that was just crying and you just really didn't know what was going on? I mean, sometimes I feel that way. I just feel like crying and I don't know what's going on. And foot zoning is a really, really great way to help release negative emotions. And I love this particular hold. So you're just holding feet. And as you've got the heels of someone's feet in your hands, this is a very grounding thing. It's all part of the root chakra that Corey was teaching us about. So this hold by itself is very grounding and connecting to Mother Earth. But then you send the intent to release the trapped and hidden emotions that are ready to be released. And you just hold their feet and imagining all these trapped emotions. It's very common for people to carry trapped emotions, especially depressed people. It's not always just them. They're carrying the weight of the world on their shoulder. They're so open that they pick up people's stuff and they're carrying stuff besides their own. And this is a great way just to release stuff that's not yours and stuff that is that's ready to be released. So what you do is imagine that these roots are going down into Mother Earth, just like Michelle was teaching us, that we have these roots that are ours, that go down to Mother Earth. She is amazing. She knows what to do with the junk in our lives. So we're taking all of this junk out, sending it to Mother Earth, and she can make beautiful things out of garbage. She's the great recycler, right? So she recycles it, and then you imagine just beautiful golden light coming into their body and filling up that space that used to have all this trapped emotions with goodness and light and hope and love. And it really is that simple. We don't have to make it hard. Einstein's law is matter cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred. How easy is that to just transfer negative energy to light? And that one simple, easy way to do that. In foot zoning, also, a lot of it has to do with addressing physical health. A lot of people come to me because they have physical problems. That's what speaks the loudest. Usually there's other stuff involved. When you do a foot zone, you get all of the different systems in the body communicating efficiently with each other so that you can create a space for healing. And that really is what happens. I don't know how many times foot zoning has helped with pain. I have so many stories of clients leaving my house or coming to my home in excruciating pain and leaving with, I feel better, it's gone. I have tons of stories of my own. Falling down the stairs, I'm thinking I may need to go see the doctor, and zoning myself and going to bed and waking up and it's all gone. Foot zoning is really a great way to get the lymph moving in our body to pull out toxins. We are exposed to so many toxins in our lives, chemicals, hormones, heavy metals, in our food, in our air, it's everywhere. And zoning helps to get that lymph moving and move the toxins out of our body. One of my favorite things to do is to use a massage stone and just rub it on the feet. And obviously I know this is a systematic way to do that. Those of you who are foot zone practitioners know that too. Starting on the outside of the foot, the top of the foot, the inside of the foot, and the bottom of the foot. And usually you move from the top, or from the bottom and move up. So you're moving from the heel and working towards the toes. So that's really quick information. But that is a great way to get the communication in your body working and the toxins moving. Plus get the energy from a stone, which is a gift from God too. They all come from Mother Earth, and they all carry their own vibration and energy. Years and this week I've used them so many times, and that's been the only thing that would work for me. So I am like learning more and more about gemstones and how they can help us. Accidents and injuries, and foot zoning is amazing to help with the immune system. So if you're getting regular foot zone treatments, your body is in a better state of health, so usually you don't get sick as much. I've been exposed to so many sick people over just the past winter, and I haven't gotten sick. Every time I started to get sick, I'll zone myself. And it just, brings up my immune system, and I'm able to fight it off. When I can't do a whole zone, it's usually my throat that starts hurting. How many of you ever get a sore throat or know somebody? This is like a really common thing, so that's why I picked this. So this, if you're starting to get a sore throat, do this immediately. It works best if you do it as quick as possible. It works better if you can get a whole zone, but lots of times this by itself works. So you're going to start right underneath the little toe, and you're going to do little circles all the way across underneath the 4 toes. And that activates the lymph in the throat area. So toenails, top of the foot. Bottom of the foot, no nails. This is where the signals to the mouth and throat are. So you're going to start right here inside of the big toe, and you're going to do little circles going up. Do lots and lots of little circles up to right underneath the pad of the toe. And then you're going to come back here, and this is the throat. So this is the mouth, and this is the throat.
Does it matter if it's clockwise or counterclockwise?
Follow the direction of the circles. There's a lot of intent drawn into my zone. And so when I'm telling you all the why, if you'll just follow the directions of the circles, you'll get the best results, okay? Pretty simple thing to do, right? I don't know how many sore throats I've stopped with it in our family. Also on the little paper that you're getting, in my advanced certification course, not only do we learn a very skilled and advanced zone, but we also learn things about health and wellness. We learn about essential oils and homeopathics and herbs and a whole list of things. That's just a few of them. We learn about the chakras and different body systems. We learn about muscle testing. So on the back of your sheet, there's a little, I have to remember what everything that I put on there. Thank you, I'll give it back to you. There's some also things that you can do to help support a sore throat. So for single essential oils, some of my favorite are eucalyptus, peppermint, rosemary, and lemon. Hopefully you've got one of those in your arsenal. Usually I'll just mix it with a carrier oil and rub it on the throat. I also really love blends for essential oils. I think they are fantastic, and there's lots of companies that have blends. I put some of my favorites on there from different companies. So Deliverance and Breezy from Butterfly, On Guard from doTERRA, and Bees from Young Living are all super powerful blends. Herbs, another really one of my favorite things. And everybody has access to garlic almost anywhere all the time. If you don't have it, you can get it at the grocery store, right? So for a sore throat, it's like, the garlic is amazing. Just crush a clove of garlic and put it in a glass of water and sip on it throughout the day. It is super good to kill the bacteria or virus or whatever is going on in your throat, and it also helps with pain. Yeah, I crush it. Yeah, I do crush it.
That kind of opens up.
It opens it up and
Yeah.
stir it around in your water and drink it down. At first I thought this is going to taste awful, I'm not going to be able to stand it, but it actually doesn't. I was like surprised. It felt good, and I kind of liked it actually. Yeah, garlic oil is super, super strong. Like, yeah. I'd be careful with the garlic essential oil because it's so strong. like maybe mix it with something else. And then also gemstones. This is my new favorite thing. Apatite, amazonite, lapis lazuli, and sodalite are all gemstones that are really helpful for sore throats. There was one night I was like super tired and I was starting to get a sore throat. I didn't even zone myself or anything because I was like so tired, but I just grabbed my amazonite apatite stone. It was a massage stone, so it fits really nice right here. I just laid down in my bed and went to sleep with my rock on my throat. And when I woke up, it was all gone. That actually kind of surprised me. But I was like, ooh, I love these. So other fun things that you can use for a sore throat. Foot zoning's good to balance hormones, digestive upsets, circulation. I wish I could tell you stories about all of these because that's my favorite. Helps you to sleep good. Just an overall sense of well-being. And there's a whole little bit of a list of the benefits of foot zone. In every foot zone it's different because everybody is different, right? So like in a foot zone I can't guarantee anything, although I've had lots of miracles happen. Sometimes they're big, sometimes they're little, sometimes it's a long process. For me, it's like I have to get zoned at least every month or I don't feel good. Some people can get zoned once and they're like, I'm good to go for 6 months, you know. Most of my clients are people who need it consistently, and several of them could not be functioning without it. The doctors can't do anything more for them, and it's the foot zone that helps keep them in balance and happy and well. I have everything from a basic foot zone to a very advanced and skilled foot zone. You don't get certified in my basic zone. It's for families and yourself because you're not really getting enough information to be certified. But it's a powerful zone. And if you just want it for your family, it's a great way to start. I have really enjoyed sharing this information with you. There is so much more to learn and so much more to know. If you would like a foot zone or you would like to learn more about the courses Foot Zone Center has to offer, the Basic Family Foot Zone course or the Advanced Certification course, please click the links below where I can share more information with you.